All right. Well, welcome back to the iWealth podcast. And today we are with Mr. Brad Connors, and we are talking about the scale that's in my basement and why it's a little hard to force myself on it, or even just measuring things in general is just kind of it's a slightly awkward thing.
It is. Yeah. I just brought this topic up because it's interesting. I just kind of went through this, but I have to stop and like this new setup, Matt, I kind of feel important sitting in these chairs here. So when you just said scale, what came to mind is wrestling to me. And I remember the old scale, you've probably seen these, they're metal, and you step up on them, they're like a foot high, and then they slide the scale, and there's like a weight on the end of it.
Yeah.
So when I think about scales, where this all came from, Matt, is that recently I've had a problem standing on the scale.
Okay.
I know intrinsically that I've put some weight on, like everybody else, trying to be healthy, eat right. But the summer's here. Probably had a couple too many beers potentially. Maybe the lake days and having pretzels and snacks and stuff like that. Like all that stuff kind of creeps up on you. It's been important for me to work out 30 minutes a day. We can talk about Whoop. We're both wearing them. New technology. But anyway, here's what happened. I probably went almost 2 months without standing on a scale and weighing in. And it was because I was scared. I didn't want to know what the numbers was, even though intrinsically I knew what the numbers is. So, do you step on a scale once a week,
Never.
once a month? Never?
I don't.
Well, what's the theory behind that? Because I'm going to put this back into investments in a minute, but what's your theory of not weighing in? You don't care?
I just haven't. It hasn't been important.
So
I don't know. It's one of the very few things I don't have a theory on.
Exercise is important.
Exercise is important.
Moving around is important.
Yeah, and when we were on our big vacation,
important.
we worked out consistently all the time.
Yeah.
And then when I'm here, it's hard because it's just
interesting.
we worked out all the time on vacation.
Well, let's talk about investments. Now I'll go back to my scale moment. How often do you look at your investments?
Every day.
Every day?
Every day.
So you look at your investments every day, but never look at your weight?
Never.
That's super interesting. Because I'm the opposite.
Okay.
I would prefer, I think I should weigh in at least once a week. I don't think it has to be every day because things fluctuate. But I think I should weigh in every week. I have an app that tracks it that my scale connects to.
Okay.
That connects to Whoop. So Whoop is keeping track of my weight as well. It's also, your body mass index and, your muscle index, all that kind of stuff that it keeps track of. But my investments, every 6 months, for sure once a year. I just don't look at it on a daily basis because I can't do anything about it. And I can on the scale. Like I can choose not to have the dessert. But my investments I can't do anything about. I suppose I can go to cash or something like that. So anyway, so I'm having this dilemma. Like I know I put on weight over the summer and didn't want to get on the scale, and I finally just I'm gonna rip the Band-Aid off. I'm getting on the scale. So when going back to high school 30 years ago, I played football at 178 pounds. I wrestled at 160, a couple matches at 152. Then I played college football at 205. And I would tell you the difference between 160 and 205 wasn't all muscle. It wasn't like today when you go to college and you're lifting and all that other kind of stuff. Like nobody cared. You just played football. So I put on some weight, played at 205, and then I went to 295 over the next several years after football was over. And so weight's been a problem. I kind of feel like a recovering alcoholic, perhaps. I don't know what that's like, but I always feel like I'm going back there. I'm always scared that I'm going to get back to 290 pounds. And so, what can I do to not have that happen? Now, I took those 100 pounds off over a period of about 8 years, and I did it the right way. I did it through a diet and exercise. When I was 290, I'd go to Dairy Queen. No, nothing against Dairy Queen, but I go 3 times a week, and I drink a 6-pack of Mountain Dew a day, and I didn't exercise. It's a bad recipe, you know. So anyway, back to the scale. So I've been in that, that 190 range for quite some time. In fact, I was down to 182 and I just knew I was heavier. I stepped on the scale, it was 201. And I was mad at myself because I let myself go there. And so what that did, though, is it triggered inside of me some behavioral changes. Lifting more weights. I'm working out a little bit harder. I'm looking at my Strive score on my Whoop watch. It allowed me to make some adjustments. And so I think back to the investment side of things, like you have to measure those things, like how are you doing? Where are you at relative to your age and when you want to retire? Are you set up for the goals you want? Those type of things. So standing on the scale for me gave me some insight and some motivation to clean up my act a little bit.
Yeah.
I mean, what's going through your head when I bring that up?
Just when you talk about being able to track things where I'm not necessarily tied into what that number is for the weight, but even seeing like my sleep score, like that's something that I've been consistently checking every single day. Like how am I sleeping every day? And then, you know, how much potential energy does my body have? And having the little Whoop watches shows, you know, what is your potential for that day? Are you coming into the day after the last work binge that I was on? I was at 23%. I had 23% left, right? And since I've been back, like on those days of tracking, you know, the potential energy that's left in my body, you know, 50, 60%, I haven't been back into the green since any of the days that I've been back because there's so much work to do here. And yet when we were on vacation, I was in the green every day. So I'm not necessarily tracking the weight score, but the other part of it is very, very interesting to me.
Yeah, you know, you talk about technology. So what was interesting is he got his Whoop watch, and then I grabbed one, and I didn't even know he had it.
We
showed like, hey, we both have them. But
we're like, what is this? We both have these.
I'm a big proponent of Apple, so I've had an Apple Watch forever. And then I wanted to get a different watch and wear, so then I went away from the Apple Watch. I put an Oura ring on. My daughter has an Oura ring. A lot of people I know have it. I liked it. I didn't like the fact, like when I was lifting weights and stuff, I don't like having something on my hand. So then the Whoop watch came out. I started talking to people that had it. I'm like, that's interesting. What was interesting to me is blood pressure. So prior to meeting Dr. Jeff, who you and I know, and getting on some supplements like fish oil and things like that, I was having high blood pressure, not treated with medication, but it was like in the 140s, 138. And then now consistently it's in the mid 120s, 121, 125. So the number's a lot better. But what the Whoop watch does is it keeps track of my blood pressure. So I look at that every day. Like, is it getting elevated? How's that going? So I look at that. And then the age thing is cool to me.
The age thing is really, really cool.
So explain that.
So basically it's figuring out based on the way that you're living and your lifestyle. Are you aging at a 1-to-1, which would be just the normal way of aging? Or is it faster, right? And lately, with all of the work binges, I've been aging like at 1.8, which is, then you go, ooh, late nights, getting up early, the stress of life, right? All of that stuff adds up to aging almost twice as fast as what I should be.
And it's also taking a look at your cardiovascular, like your heart rate, your, you know, how it's lowering at night, your HRV, things like that. And then it gives you a Whoop age. And right now, so mine was when I first did it after 30 days or something, it gives you your first initial read and then it changes. And when it first gave it to me, I actually was, so I'm 51 and it was like at 52, like it was ahead. Like I was older.
Really?
When it did
that for me, I was 2 years younger than my actual age. Because you put it on
right before you went on your long sabbatical, right? And you were sleeping well, eating right, and exercising.
And exercising every day.
So has it changed?
I haven't looked.
Okay, you don't want to. See, you can't change what you don't measure. That's the whole point of this conversation.
I haven't looked.
So mine has changed. I'll talk about mine because mine's gotten better. So now I'm like a year ahead. So mine's like I'm age 50 in 6 months, even though I'm 51 in 6 months. So I'm like a year ahead now. So. But my biggest issue is consistency of sleep. It's not necessarily.
That's mine.
It's when I go to bed and when I get up. Because so if I sleep in more on the weekends, and I go to bed at 10:30 instead of 9 o'clock, like there's just that difference, and it's been adjusting it. So it's just, anyway, my point is you need to measure it so that you can make adjustments in your life. And I think people like you are measuring their investments too often. Daily looking at it isn't, and to give you credit, it's not like you lose sleep over it. You just pay attention to it.
Pay attention to it.
Yeah. Some people lose sleep over it. I've seen it over the last 30 years.
Just to be completely honest, okay? Part of it is when you turn off social media, you're so trained to go look at your phone for something. So the Whoop gives you something to look at. And then you're like, well, I'm done looking at my health stuff. Maybe I'll look at my investments because it's not looking at Instagram or Facebook or YouTube, right? So it gives you something else on your phone to do because you feel like, oh, I should be doing that. Mm-hmm. So part of it is that mental, I want to do something that's not looking at Facebook.
Yeah. Yeah, I totally agree with you. I mean, even the prompts of like reading an actual book at night and not off your phone, or shutting down your phone an hour before bedtime, like all those prompts that you're kind of getting make sense. I keep track if I have, a glass of wine. How's my sleep score versus having no wine or a couple beers?
So just out of curiosity, with the tracker that's in the Whoop app, have you been doing that every morning?
Yes, the meditation where you're writing down. So like if I use the sauna, I put that in there. Yep. I started meditating. I'm on day 9.
Did you put the filter on for a sound bath?
I don't know what that is.
What is sound bath? Take a sound bath?
What's a sound bath?
That's just where you have like 10, 15 minutes to just listen to calming music and you take a sound bath.
Well, I would call that meditation.
Okay.
So yeah, I'm taking a meditation sound bath, I guess. It's just that 25 years ago, Matt, nobody talked about this stuff, right? We just went about our day.
It seems like it's what matters.
And there will be people that say, why do you need a sleep score? I either wake up and I feel like I got a good night's sleep or I don't. Yeah. How do you answer that?
Well, the sleep score is so interesting because you can see how much time you spent in restorative sleep, how much time you spent in barely sleeping a little bit. And then the thing that's interesting is you can see where the gaps are where you woke up. And then it gives you that as part of that sleep score. So all of those 6 different qualifiers lead up to whatever that big score is.
Right.
And if you can get that to be like, when I was sleeping at 80 and 90 and 95%, it's very hard to sleep. I've never been able to sleep at 100%. Mm-hmm. I've never once gotten a perfect score in the couple of months of using the Whoop app.
Yeah. So. Yeah. It'd be really hard to do. And it's hard for me to hit the strain. So there's the sleep score, the recovery, and then strain. Yes. And strain is how much you're pushing yourself, your heart rate, that kind of stuff. And I've only hit that a couple times. It's been hard for me to do. I'll go work out, in the yard for an hour and a half. I'll go for a half-hour bike ride, but I'm not getting my heart elevated up where I'm hitting that strain score, so I feel like a loser once in a while.
Well, so the thing with the strain that's super interesting is if you strain right away first thing in the morning, it changes the algorithm, it seems like, for the strain score. You're a lot more likely to hit it later in the day, especially then if you go, but if the very first thing that you do is something that has a higher strain, it seems like then the rest of the day, it seems like you get there a lot faster.
Easier to hit. Interesting. Yeah. It's just it's just super important. As we look at health, like one of the things that you and I have talked about is we've seen a local doctor. I went there first. You've been in and did some blood work. I just had a conversation yesterday with a client that was dealing with some medical things and went and got a second opinion. It was a completely different opinion. I love my doctors. They're super educated. They're smart people. I'm never going to tell you I'm smarter than my doctors. I just think it's very important that today that we are as big advocates for ourselves as anybody. Like if it doesn't feel right, it's okay to question, and in a professional way, and say that doesn't feel right to me. Help me understand this, or go get a second opinion from a doctor or something. But you and I both did some blood work. I did some blood work on, cancer screening. I've laid down, did an AI test where they cut up your heart in slices of paper to see if there's any blockage and things like that. There was some inflammation, hence being on a fish oil. But I think that preventative side is so interesting to me, that the entrepreneurs that I'm hanging out with are all, I mean, they're taking peptides and they're doing all this stuff, having peptide parties, which I don't fully understand. I've never been to one. Yeah. Instead of a beer party, it's a peptide party for people with gray hair or something. But super important to be preventative instead of just reacting to, I have an ache today, let's go take care of it.
Totally.
Yeah. Do you agree with that?
I mean, for me, the biggest thing is, it's so easy to put other people first. And I think the part that I struggle with is like, what can you do for yourself that, you know, you get a little bit of relief? It's easy for me to go do something for my wife. And it's easy for me to go do something for my daughter, or it's easy for me to go to work and help other people out with their project for shameless hours on end. But why is it that psychologically it's so hard to do something for yourself? Like, go for a walk or go for a workout or go, you know, to the gym for a little bit or whatever that thing is. It's just, that's a really difficult thing. Like, we've solved so many other big things, but that part is something that I've never quite solved. Yeah.
And Trudy knows it as me time, that I need some me time. And it's probably an hour a week. Yeah. And it's most likely on a weekend where I just need to be out in nature. Most time it's outside. It's not reading a book or something. It's like physically walking, hiking, hunting, fishing, biking, like something like that. But it's my headphones and it's me and it's nobody around. Like I just need to decompress. Been reading some of John Eldredge's books and listening and paying attention, like the art of slowing down and things like that. And, you know, I think of Jesus and the people that will point back to how he rested. And how he would have an intense moment, but then he would just go up on a hill somewhere and hang out and pray.
Yeah.
I think it's important to get that space in our life to kind of rejuvenate.
And for me, there's actually a telltale sign that it worked. And the telltale sign that I had some quote unquote me time, right, or whatever you want to call it, is that I have things to tell people. Because when I come back to reality, right, whether I get a couple of hours in the garage or whatever, I just go hang out with a friend or I'm away from the regular triggers, that I know that the resting was working because I have things to tell you again, right? That's the telltale sign that, the resting was working.
Full or filling up.
And like even with the Eldredge stuff and like the meditation apps for it, I'll wake up from 10 minutes of that, right? And I'll have things to tell people. Yeah. Right? It's just interesting how that works.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And it kind of takes me back to Dan Sullivan's, you know, Dan talks about the first class when you get into strategic coach. He talks about the days of the week and he calls them free focus and buffer days. Yep. And a free day is rejuvenation day. It's 24-hour block of period where you're not checking emails or talking about work. Well, we have the Sabbath too, right? That was one day. So work 6 days, have a Sabbath. But what Dan has tracked, and I've did this for 16 years, is the more free days I get, the more rejuvenated I am, and the better the business runs, the better the revenues are and things like that. Yeah. So interesting. And so if you get time to rejuvenate, then you're even more plugged in with your family at home, or the people, because you got things to talk about, stuff.
And
like
it's
that.
Interesting, like with the entrepreneurs too, like if they can take free days, that they'll make more money.
It's crazy.
Like it is 100% counterintuitive.
Yeah, doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't literally make any sense at all. I have no words to like. Why does it work that way? Yeah.
Hard work covers a lot of mistakes.
Yes.
That was one of my mentors, and he drilled it in my head. Hard work covers mistakes. And so I worked harder than anybody else out there. And there's nothing wrong with working hard. I'm not saying be lazy, but work hard, but then you have to take off. Yeah. It's so important. Like at iWealth, we make sure our people get rejuvenation time. They have to take a block for a week at a time, and then they can take their other days. But when they're on those days, nobody should interrupt them. Yeah. No one should send them a text, or no one should call them and say, hey, this person needs something. Like, let them rejuvenate.
Let them do their thing.
If I'm asking it for myself, I better be asking it for them too, from a core value standpoint. So anyway, so really interesting, Matt, just to wrap this up. Like, I think I need to buy you a scale, but I think it's important.
What kind of friend says that to their friend?
Yeah.
That's just weird.
Matt, you're not overweight, but you need a scale. Nice. Yeah, you're right. That's not a very good friend, is it? But that trigger for me of finally stepping on a scale allowed me to make adjustments in my life that I knew I needed to make. Intrinsically, I knew it. But when I got on a scale and saw the number, I'm like, yep. And I'm proud to report I'm down 3 pounds from when I first got on that scale. But it's super important to measure the things that are important to us. But when I think you take it to the investments, it's okay to measure it. But this is one more thing I want to talk about with the investments, with the measuring. Many people get this wrong. They'll come in my office and it'll be a new client or somebody that we're talking to, and they'll give us a statement. It's like, how am I doing? Give me a second opinion. And it's so easy to give a second opinion if you didn't have the right intention to be able to manage it to an index. Basically upon the S&P 500 large company stocks, the last 3 years you're trailing by 4%. People want to know numbers like that, but they measure their portfolios incorrectly all day long. Because the portfolio isn't just the S&P 500. It's international stocks. It's bond. It could be gold. There's all these other things. I think people need to measure the emotional intelligence of the advisor they're working with. So it's not just the numbers. Numbers are important. You need to get a good rate of return in your portfolio. The problem is when you just want to measure your advisor to an index, you're missing out on the measurement that you really should be making. Whether is that advisor have my best interest in mind? Does that advisor ask me questions I've never thought about, like long-term care insurance, or when I should turn on my Social Security, or should I, roll over my 401k or leave it there and take a pension payout? Like, what's that EQ? What's that advisor emotional intelligence? Like, what do they have that they're helping me with versus just an index? Because you take my client statements and you put it in front of another advisor, they'll find some index that they can try to beat it and say, he's horrible, look at this. Yep. What the consumer needs to look at is, what's the advisor doing for me? Is it only an index? Are all they doing is managing money? Then maybe that's how you measure them. But if they're doing all the other things and getting in front of the attorney to get your will done, and working with your tax advisor so you're not paying as much on taxes, like, those are super important things that you should be judging and measuring, back to the scale and measuring those things. And I wanted to make sure that we talked about this because it's just super important and people get it wrong. Because we're all we're so ingrained on trying to grab a snapshot of my investments in an index versus really measuring the whole relationship. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah, it's just which things are important, and what's important to you is maybe not important to the next person. So what needs to be measured, and then how does it stack up against where you've been, instead of how does it stack up against the rest of where everyone else has been.
It's like almost like a personal value index, if you want to call it an index. Like, what do you value?
Personal value index.
What do you value out of the person or team of people that you have hired from your investment standpoint? Are they really asking the right questions? Are they being that dream navigator, that financial quarterback, putting you in front of the right people to get the boxes checked so that you got a complete plan? Mm-hmm. That's a true advisor. If it's just an investment, then maybe you are managing them against an index of a basket of stocks or something. Yeah.
All right. Well, anything else we need to know before we land this airplane?
I don't. We've been around the world when it comes to measuring stuff today, but thank you so much, and hopefully this was helpful. Have a great day.
We'll see you back here.